Alyssa Thomas will be getting fined.
And what did Alyssa do? She went hiding. Refused to go into the press conference.
Alyssa Thomas and the Mercury will likely be fined because they chose to break the rule. Seeing Alyssa Thomas jawing at it with fans, kind of, making a complete fool of herself, and now she's finna be getting fined because she refused to speak to the media.
Alyssa Thomas was saying that she left to play for a real team.
Alyssa Thomas had all the smoke for the Fever fans.
Alyssa Thomas just got fined after refusing to speak to the media following her game against Caitlin Clark. And this comes after she told fans, "I came to play for a real team." Things are getting heated in the WNBA. If you stand with Caitlin, drop CC 100 in the comments. Let's break down what really happened.
Caitlin Clark been the face, still is the face.
The controversy began after the recent matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury.
The Indiana Fever, well and truly, got the better of the Phoenix Mercury.
While Caitlin Clark kept her composure as usual, it was Alyssa Thomas who drew attention. First with her actions on the court, and then with what she didn't do off it.
Not blowing up like certain professional athletes just did last night.
Multiple fans reported that Thomas was seen yelling toward the stands during the game, allegedly saying, "I came to play for a real team."
Apparently, what Alyssa Thomas was saying that she left to play for a real team.
Thomas just told fans around the bench she came to play for a real team several times.
That statement quickly spread online and was taken as a direct shot at Fever fans and possibly at Caitlin Clark herself. But the real issue came after the game. Instead of attending the required post-game media session, Alyssa Thomas simply didn't show. According to WNBA policy, each team must make their head coach and 2 key players available to the media within 10 minutes after the game.
Media availability rule broken last night by the Mercury. 2025 WNBA season media access policy state no later than 10 minutes following the game, each head coach and 2 players, leading scorer and key contributor per team, will be available in the separate press conference rooms.
Thomas was not only a key contributor, she was the leading scorer, but still refused to speak.
2025 WNBA media access policy states no later than 10 minutes following the game, each head coach and 2 players, leading scorer and key contributor per team, be available in separate press conference room for in-person Zoom meetings. AT and the Mercury will likely be fined because they chose to break the rule.
Seeing Alyssa Thomas jawing at it with fans, kind of, making a complete fool of herself, and now she's finna be getting fined because she refused to speak to the media.
The league responded by fining both Alyssa Thomas and the Phoenix Mercury.
Alyssa Thomas and the Mercury will likely be fined because they chose to break the rule.
For violating the media access rules.
We're seeing Alyssa Thomas refuse to go into the press conference.
It was a clear message. If you want to talk big during the game, you have to answer for it after.
She just said nah. And I'm sorry, you can't have all the smoke. You cannot be there chirping with fans the whole game. You cannot be allegedly telling fans the one who chose to join a real basketball team. You cannot be saying stuff like that and then hide.
What makes this more glaring is how consistently Caitlin Clark handles her media obligations. Despite facing nonstop pressure, criticism, and controversy, she still shows up, speaks clearly, and stays focused on basketball. Alyssa Thomas chose the opposite, and now she's being held accountable for it.
I would guess so. I mean, AT's a competitive player. Just like their players talk to their fans, our players are going to do the same.
The fallout didn't stop with Alyssa Thomas skipping the media. What happened in the arena that night and how players and fans responded sparked a much bigger debate about how criticism, loyalty, and professionalism are handled in today's WNBA. First, let's talk about the booing. During the game, Indiana Fever fans loudly booed DeWanna Bonner.
Booing DeWanna Bonner has become such an issue.
Who was returning to Indiana after leaving the team just 9 games into the season.
DeWanna Bonner, first time coming back to Indianapolis after pretty much quitting the team.
Her exit was seen by many as quitting on the team during a difficult stretch.
She went on record and stated that The role that she had possibly wasn't good enough for her. The fit just wasn't working. But at the end of the day, all of it points to the arrows of what? Quitting the basketball team.
When several players were injured and the Fever were fighting to stay competitive, Bonner requested a trade, didn't travel with the team, and ultimately joined the Phoenix Mercury, where her partner Alyssa Thomas also plays. So when she came back to Indiana, the fans let her hear it. And let's be honest, this wasn't personal. It was classic sports energy. Fans boo players who leave. They boo former teammates who walk out. It happens in every league. LeBron got booed when he left Cleveland. Kevin Durant got booed when he left Oklahoma City. That's how passionate fan bases show frustration and hold players accountable. But suddenly, when Indiana Fever fans did it, people started calling it toxic.
They made a big deal about her getting booed. Now, Sophie Cunningham was getting booed the whole time she was in New York. Ain't nobody say nothing about Sophie getting booed. Look, listen.
Even Mercury star Kalea Copper criticized the crowd, saying it was disrespectful and distasteful to boo a legend like Bonner.
Alyssa Copper spoke out on the boos against that fan base in a post-game interview.
I think she handled it well. I don't understand, like, she a legend, and just all the things that she's done for the league, and just the disrespect, I can't get down with it. They booed her. She didn't say a word to the crowd. People talk some trash to her, but we had her back. But it's just very distasteful for what their fan base is doing.
Others on social media jumped in, accusing Fever fans of being harsh, or even claiming this would scare away future free agents from signing in Indiana. That's where things really started to divide, because while some in the league were condemning the fan reaction, others were standing up and saying the opposite, including Sophie Cunningham. Sophie, who's no stranger to being booed herself, went on record defending Caitlin Clark in the Fever fan base. In a podcast that quickly went viral, Sophie said, "It literally pisses me off when people say she's not the face of the league. Who else would be?"
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
You're dumb if you think the league would be where it is right now without Caitlin Clark. That was the kind of honesty fans were waiting to hear. Sophie didn't just defend Clark. She acknowledged what so many around the league won't say out loud, that Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA is seeing record-breaking ratings,
Caitlin Clark been the face, still is the face,
sold-out arenas, and mainstream media attention.
24 WNBA Finals rematch, the Liberty and the Lynx was the third most watched.
And that includes the Indiana Fever fan base, which is more passionate, more invested, and more engaged than most markets have ever seen in this league. Are there a few bad fans online? Of course. Every sport has them.
It's Caitlin Clark standing right there like, come on, keep on booing, doing a good old Hulk Hogan.
But the majority of Fever supporters are showing up, selling out arenas, and bringing energy that women's basketball has never experienced before. So why are they being blamed for doing exactly what fans in other sports have always done? Sophie Cunningham's comments exposed a deeper issue, one that's becoming more visible with every game. The WNBA is in the middle of a cultural shift. It's moving from a small, protective circle of players and legacy media to a national stage driven by new fans, online communities, and personalities like Caitlin Clark, who can bring both attention and accountability. That shift is uncomfortable for some, and instead of adjusting to the spotlight, players like Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner seem to be pushing back, clapping at fans, ducking the press, and then acting surprised when people react. But the new era of the WNBA is here. The fan base is growing, the standards are rising, and the league is finally being seen. You can either embrace that, or you'll get left behind. What happened with Alyssa Thomas is more than a single fine or a missed press conference. It represents something much bigger, a turning point in how WNBA stars are expected to carry themselves in the public eye.
It's looking spooky for Alyssa Thomas. I just cannot lie. Just the type of energy, the representation they're supposed to be when it comes to being leaders and professional athletes.
And at the center of this shift is Caitlin Clark. When Alyssa refused to meet with the media, she didn't just break a rule, she walked away from her responsibility as one of the faces of the league. This isn't 2009. The WNBA now has more attention than ever. Every word players say, or don't say, can set the tone for how the league is viewed by millions of new fans. And when the most visible players in the league act like they're above accountability, it damages the very progress so many have worked to build. In contrast, look at Caitlin Clark. Since the moment she was drafted, Clark has faced an unmatched level of scrutiny. Opposing players have taken extra shots at her. Critics have dissected her every move. Online trolls have tried to tear her down at every turn, and still, she shows up. Game after game, win or lose, Clark takes the podium. She answers the tough questions. She praises her teammates. She takes ownership of mistakes. She's diplomatic in the face of cheap shots. She never runs from the moment.
Footage has emerged of Caitlin Clark being heckled by fans for keeping her composure in high school.
In fact, it's often the veterans around her who seem to lose composure while she remains steady. Let's be clear. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be the face of the WNBA. The fans, the media, and the numbers made her that. But now that she is, she's acting like it. That's more than you can say for some of the established stars in the league. What Alyssa Thomas did, clapping at fans during the game.
Yeah, I think just in sports, it's kind of what you have to anticipate, right? Yeah, I thought she handled it fine. That's kind of how sports works. You go into a former home of yours, and typically, if you don't leave on your terms, the fans aren't going to be happy. And
refusing to talk afterward and still expecting to control the narrative is a reflection of the old WNBA, a league where players could operate behind closed doors, shielded from fan backlash.
Well, this is what you signed up for.
Protected by a tight media circle that rarely challenged them. But that world is gone. The new WNBA is being built in real time. It's being shaped by 19-year-olds buying tickets for the first time, by viral moments on TikTok and Twitter, by sold-out crowds showing up in cities that used to draw just a few thousand. The eyes are finally here, but the spotlight doesn't just highlight your best plays. It reveals everything. That includes how you treat fans, how you respond to pressure, and whether you have the character to stand up and be heard when things don't go your way. That's why this moment matters so much, not because of the dollar amount of the fine, but because of what it exposed. Some players are ready for the next level of visibility. Others clearly aren't. And Caitlin Clark, she's proving she belongs on that next level, not just because of her range or her assists, but because of how she handles the weight that comes with stardom. She never lashes out. She never ducks questions, and she never tries to spin the narrative after the fact.
Caitlin Clark in high school getting heckled by fans and responds by dominating. No asking why, complaining. This is high school.
Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas, someone who's long been known as one of the most physical, toughest players in the league, chose to disappear when the moment called for professionalism. That's not strength. That's selective accountability.
I'm only here so I won't get fined.
That's front running. You can't talk trash to fans, storm off the court, and then stay silent when the cameras are on. That's not leadership. That's avoiding the work. The fine was deserved. But it's the contrast with Caitlin Clark that really exposed the gap. Clark doesn't need to trash talk fans or hide behind excuses. She lets her play speak for her, and when it's time to speak off the court, she shows up with class and poise. That's the standard now. That's the future of the WNBA. And if the league is serious about growing, it needs more players like Caitlin Clark who can carry the spotlight without crumbling under it. Because the league isn't going backward, the noise is only getting louder. And the stars who embrace that pressure, not avoid it, will be the ones leading this league into its next era.
Alyssa Thomas will be getting fined.
And what did Alyssa do? She went hiding. Refused to go into the press conference.
Alyssa Thomas and the Mercury will likely be fined because they chose to break the rule. Seeing Alyssa Thomas jawing at it with fans, kind of, making a complete fool of herself, and now she's finna be getting fined because she refused to speak to the media.
Alyssa Thomas was saying that she left to play for a real team.
Alyssa Thomas had all the smoke for the Fever fans.
Alyssa Thomas may have refused to speak, but the message she sent was loud and clear. Some players aren't ready for the responsibility that comes with the spotlight. Caitlin Clark didn't flinch. She didn't fire back. She didn't make excuses. She just kept doing what she always does, showing up, staying focused, and letting her game and her grace speak for themselves. The WNBA is changing, and moments like this make it clear who's ready for the new era and who's stuck in the old one. If you're with Caitlin Clark and everything she stands for, let it be known in the comments. Drop a CC 100 to show you're riding with class, leadership, and the future of the league. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We've got more updates, reactions, and truth-telling coming your way. Because this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about who's ready to lead.